Hello, welcome to assignment 7, which is sort of famous as the goat attack assignment. So you're going to be using jsFiddle for this assignment. And you're going to open My File. The assignment tells you to do this. You're going to create an account at jsFiddle, and then you're going to open the fiddle that we're looking at here. And then immediately before you do anything with it, you're going to fork it. And I'm not going to fork it because I'm working with mine, but you're going to fork it. You have to be logged in to fork it. And then that's going to be the URL that you turn in when you're done. Turn it in Canvas. So what you're looking at in jsFiddle here is 4 panes. So it's like 3 files in Atom plus your web browser all in one place. So the top left pane is HTML, top right is CSS, bottom left is JavaScript, bottom right is like a regular live web page. You won't see quite all the code. You don't see the head code in the HTML part. That's fine. For this assignment, you will not change any HTML and you will not change any CSS. So you can grab the divider between 2 areas and pull it up so you have more room. And I suggest you do that right away. So what you're going to do is you're going to finish programming a game that runs in a browser and it's written in JavaScript. It's not a really complicated or exciting game, but it does do some things. So what's already programmed when we start is the climb function. So if you click climb and you click go, you will find that you are climbing the mountain because your position is increasing, the amount remaining is decreasing, and your health is decreasing as you climb. You're getting tireder as you climb. And so eventually, if you climb far enough, your health will go down to 0, and the message here in the blue box, it's going to change. And that is coming up now. So at this point, if your health ever reaches 0, you will not be able to continue and the game is over. So that is all that works right now, what you just saw. Nothing else works. The rest of it is your job, and it's explained in great detail in the assignment, so I'm sure you can understand that. But I want to, in this video, go over the code a little bit so that you can see it and you'll know what the document, the assignment document, is referring to. There is also a link in the assignment to this page, this Google document, which simply shows you all the code with a grayed out or sort of lavendered out color for the things that you are not going to change. There is a lot of code here that you're not supposed to touch. There are places where you must add code and where you must change code. So that is your assignment. So you will do your editing right here in the JavaScript pane. That is where you will edit. And when you've changed something, you will click the run button, and then your changes will be in the viewing pane, the one that's like the browser. And whenever you want to save, which you should do often, you have to click 2 things to save in jsFiddle. You have to click update and then set as base. When you don't do that, it's not saved properly and you might get a bad grade and be sad. So let's have a look at the code. So the HTML, as I said, there is no head necessary in jsFiddle. So we just start right away with the first paragraph. This paragraph has an ID, and in the fiddle, it is this paragraph. So the text in here changes because the code refers to the ID narration and puts new text into that paragraph. Then there is an unordered list, and in that unordered list you will see the 3 little circles. They're called radio buttons, and one is for climb, one is for eat, one is for rest. Exactly what you see here, climb, eat, and rest. So that is in an unordered list. Then there is a button. Remember, you're not changing any HTML. And after the button, there is another unordered list that contains position, health, food, and the distance remaining. And the way that new information is written into the document at this point is it uses an ID that's inside the span element. So each of these lines has a span element, each span has an ID, and the code writes into that to change as your position goes up, as your health goes down, as the remaining distance changes. So that's handled in a combination of the HTML using IDs in the tags and JavaScript, which can basically talk to those tags by using the IDs. So the CSS, there is nothing here you haven't seen before, and you're not going to change anything. So there's colors, there's fonts, and there's a background color on that narration paragraph. So you can see that has a blue background, right? So the CSS is no big deal. Now, what about the JavaScript? This is what is new to you. And as I said, remember that there is a document that shows you what you must not change. Anything with this purple, gray, lavender background color, you're not going to touch. Other things you may change, or you may insert some things. Some things you must change. So back to my larger copy of the code in Atom. You're not using Atom for this assignment. You will not use Atom. I am only using it to show you because, of course, it's bigger in the video. So at the top of the JavaScript, some variables are declared, and you're going to use these. You're not going to change these or make new ones here. Then there are some other variables, each of which is a message. So each of these strings is a message that can appear in the blue box at the top. You will be able to add more messages, or you might want to change them. You are asked to use the same pattern of M1, M2, M3. So if you add a new message, call it let M8 equal and then your string. This is where the first message is set up, and this calls a function that is at the bottom of the page, and then there are some things that make the button work. You'll see there's lots of comments in here. And then we come to the largest function in the code, and whoops, I went a little too far. This function is called climber result, and this function runs every time you click the go button. And as it runs, first it tests to see if the health has gone to 0. So you don't have to worry about that. That is already handled. And then it checks to see, did somebody click the climb option? And if they did, this function will run. This function is below. If they didn't click climb, the conditional continues and it says, well, did they click eat? And if they did, this function will run. If not, we'll continue through the conditional. Did they click rest? If so, the rest action function will run. And if they did not click climb or eat or rest before they clicked the go button, then message number 6 will be printed into the blue box. And what is message number 6? It says, you must select an option before you click go. So it tells them that they did it wrong, basically. So climb action is like the engine of the whole game. Everything happens because you clicked go. Any possible thing that could happen as a result of clicking the go button, it is handled in this function. But you'll see that the code is modular, meaning there is not one giant 200-line function that does the actions, the activities for climbing and eating and resting. They are in separate functions. And so you can call a function inside a function. This makes your code easier to manage. So where are these? They are below. So we scroll, and right here is the climb action as it exists right now. You may not need to change the climb action. You may want to change the climb action. but it has been written out and it functions properly and adequately as it is. And we'll go over in just a second what it's doing. The eat function does not have actions in it, so if you select eat and click the go button, really nothing happens. And the same is true of the rest action. So if right now, if in the game you were to click rest and click go, well, right now, nothing will happen because we got to 0. But when you click climb, things happen. If you click eat right now, nothing happens. And if you click rest, nothing happens. That's because the code isn't written yet. That's your job in the assignment, right? Finally, in addition to the eat action function and the rest action function, there is a third function, goat attack. This is the fun function in the game. This is for you to figure out. And this function has not been called yet anywhere in the code. So if we go back to climber result, there is no goat attack in here. And maybe you are not going to put the goat attack in here. Maybe you're going to put it in some other part of the code. This is your biggest puzzle to solve. Finally, I'm at the end of the code now. This is the very, very bottom. The final thing in the code is the function that writes the results into the HTML. So this is pretty cool. And this is, you've been wondering, well, how does JavaScript make things happen with HTML? One way to do it is you use an ID that you yourself wrote into a tag in the HTML. And with this kind of long line, you tell JavaScript, find that ID and change its text to the value of this variable. And I'm going to go to the last one because that's the only one where I used a different ID, different from the variable. So it'll probably be clearer to you if I just explain that one. So we're saying, hey, JavaScript, there's an ID in the HTML, and the ID is narration. So when this function runs, this function, right, go to that ID narration in the HTML and replace its contents with the value of message. And message is going to change every time one of these functions runs, right? And what is M7? Well, for climb, M7 is you are climbing the mountain. And hey, that's what this says. And what is that blue box? That blue box is this paragraph. So you need to look at this code and puzzle it out for yourself. It is a puzzle, but it is meant for a beginner. It is meant for you in week 2 of JavaScript. So I am confident that you can figure this out. Maybe you need to ask some questions right at the beginning, get a little help. But remember that the climb action is already fine. It already works. It might not work as completely as it will when you're done with the whole thing. But right now, climb does something. You climb and you go higher on the mountain, and the distance to complete the height of the mountain, it decreases. Also, when you climb, your health goes down because you're getting tireder as you climb. When you get this code, eat and rest do absolutely nothing. And that is your job. Your job is to go into the code, and you will find this in your jQuery panel for the JavaScript, and you will begin to write out a function for eat action. Make one function work at a time. Use climb action as a model and figure out, there's a video. If you don't remember what plus equals means and minus equals, if you don't understand that, there is a video about that called increment and decrement. And that video will tell you everything about using plus equals and minus equals to change the value, a numeric value of a variable. So I hope you're going to have fun with this assignment. It's a challenge, but I think it's also pretty fun. And remember that everything you need is linked in the Assignment 7 document. When you're done, you need to turn in your jsFiddle URL. The rubric's in here too. All right, so when you're completely finished with the assignment, you are going to submit your URL in Canvas, and it's your jsFiddle URL. So make absolutely sure when you're done, make sure that you run it, that you update it, and you set as base one last time, because if you don't, your changes will not be saved. You have to do all those things. Update and set as base to save the whole thing successfully. And then this is the URL you're going to copy and put into Canvas. So I hope you have a good time with Assignment 7. Good luck.